Hi everybody, welcome back to Critical Mass. Well, today we decided, I guess a subscriber mentioned it to us, that we should check out the original Lost in Space. And maybe even comment on the Netflix series.
But when we're talking the original, we're talking the original non-aired first episode versus the first episode versus the new Netflix.
Yeah, the original pilot, unaired, and then the next pilot that was aired. Yeah. Let's see which way. Did we like Lost in Space? It's from my generation. We'll let you know right after this. All right, Lost in Space. Why don't you lead us off there, Paul?
Lost in Space is one of those shows that people seem to always bring up, and I've never seen it, didn't know anything about it. I get it confused with Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
It's just, it just wasn't part of my life. So when they said, okay, well, why don't you take a look? I said, okay, finally I'll get to know what Lost in Space is. So apparently Hulu is bringing out Lost in Space original episodes. Okay, so this is what, early 60s? And so they have the pilot episode and the first episode of the first season, black and white, and they're really different.
Well, they used a lot of the same footage in a lot of places, and I found it quite humorous that it takes place in 1997.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so their idea of the future, the super future, is 1997.
And they do mention 2001
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
as well.
Okay, so starting off the pilot episode, start with the pilot episode.
Okay.
Like the aired pilot, or the
Not the season 1, episode 1, just the pilot.
The first one you watched.
okay, so the 00 season 00.
00.
Okay.
So, what happened?
Okay, so it starts off where they've selected this a family of space travelers because the Earth is overpopulated and overcrowded. So they're looking at sort of venturing out into the realm of space and finding a new
Habitable planets.
habitable planets that they're looking to settle in at. And so they've chosen the Robinsons, right?
Yeah.
I guess this is supposed to be a play on the that old book there, where they're trapped on an island.
Nobody knows what you're talking
The
about.
Journey to the Center of the Earth?
No, like
The Lost World?
No, something Swiss Family Robinson?
Well, Swiss Family Robinson came after this, but
Oh, what?
yeah.
It's not a like classic novel or something?
It was colorized. It's in color, so I'm thinking,
But it's the
maybe
same
the
thing,
book.
right? Isn't it the same thing where they're trapped in a place and they survive as a family kind of thing?
They're shipwrecked, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So same thing. It's
So like Gilligan's Island, but in space.
Oh, okay, continue.
So anyway, so they picked this family because of their scientific prowess and their emotional stability, which it doesn't really.
No. And
Transfer.
we all know when we're ready to colonize worlds, the first thing we do is we send 8-year-old and 13-year-old girl up into space.
Right. We choose a
We choose a family to populate.
But no, it kind of makes sense. They're going to be on a long journey. They have to get
But
along.
they're supposed to be asleep for the entire journey.
But they have to survive wherever they go, and they have to be geniuses, right?
right.
I don't see how the repopulation thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
But
Well, back then they didn't really look at repopulation, but they did send along a strapping young man,
That's
the
right.
assistant,
The pilot.
to help out.
Yeah, he was the pilot.
He was the pilot.
Right. So anyway, they're cryogenically, I'll say, chemically frozen in time with their futuristic technology.
Yeah.
And they are supposed to be sleeping for the journey. Now, in the unaired episode, the first one we're talking about, they were to sleep for, I believe it was 95 years.
Something like that, 93 years.
Yeah, so something ridiculous. But because of complications that happened,
those complications being tinfoil thrown at the
tinfoil balls
the
thrown
ship.
thrown at the ship, which was supposed to be an asteroid belt that they hit unexpectedly. They were forced to crash land on a nearby planet that just happens to be habitable.
Very lucky.
Very, very lucky.
Because it also had a southern hemisphere as
Right.
well, as we
Which
found
they
out. Because
knew.
to get warm, they wanted to head south.
Which is what they
Because-
did. They had
Towards the equator,
to the
which makes
tropics.
sense because it would be closer to the sun, being a spherical planet, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Let's-
Because the sun would be facing the south on the planet somewhere billions of years away from Earth, possibly.
It made sense to me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how they knew how to get there. Like just instinctive. Well, let's go to the tropics. There's an ocean. How do you know?
Now,
I've never
however,
been here.
once they're on the planet, they have been growing plants, they have been herding animals.
They set up camp.
So they've been there a while. So maybe they discovered the different.
Sure.
They have a
things.
domesticated monkey and turtle.
Right.
Yeah. And
Alien though. Like
and ostrich birds.
right. So the monkey's wearing a hat or whatever it was. Like,
That's big ears.
mask.
That's its ears.
Sure.
So-
Okay. So and then of course they didn't know about the giant that was sort
Yeah.
of.
They've been there a while. But they
didn't
know
notice
about
the giant.
But suddenly, whenever they're heading out, the giants were everywhere.
That was the same giant everywhere.
No, he was shot the first time.
Yeah, but he didn't die.
So he died the second time?
I don't
know.
think
It
so.
might have been different giants.
Yeah, I
Really? You think so?
Although
But-
they look the same.
What I didn't like about this is that it was so old days.
Oh, yes.
Like the giant.
Yeah, but you gotta remember.
Like it throws down a boulder. It's right below him. And it throws down a boulder.
And it
3
goes
times
to
and
the
misses.
left. And then he throws a second boulder to the left. And when he moves it,
Yeah.
like that. And
And this is how he's reaching out to get
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
I can. Although I did like when he stuck the tree in to try and
Yeah, he was
catch them.
trying to poke a
For
tree into
back
the
then,
cave.
that's pretty G. Not just a hand going in. He was
Right.
that was pretty smart.
So anyway,
Giant smart.
so we have them in a pickle where they realized with their scientific gadgetry that it's going to get very, very cold all of the sudden overnight. So they've got to get out of Dodge.
That's right. Get this. It's going to drop 50 degrees in the next hour and a half. So their treadmill that they're driving, it's going to drive far enough in an hour and a half to rid themselves of dropping 50 degrees.
Our suspension of disbelief is carrying us through this.
Let's hope it's a very small planet, right? So you can get around it real quick.
Yeah. Now I'm better.
And so that's
Okay.
that's what they did. Except of course, one of the children goes missing because she went off looking for her turtle or her monkey or whatever it was that got away.
She was on her turtle.
And so the dad has to take his rocket pack, his rocket booster, which is much faster than the vehicle they're going to
Yep.
take in anyway, and goes out to find her. He finds her. He gets back to the rover just in time for them to get in and set on their way to the southern hemisphere.
Now, let's talk about that rocket pack, because it's a typical jetpack where you have the handles and you
Right.
have jetpack, but that was pretty good effects for back then.
Sure, I don't know if I would have had my daughter ride on the back.
No,
of
I
it,
think the weight distribution would have been, because they also threw the monkey,
or the fire.
but they
from
had
it.
but they had a strap. They had a
Okay.
strap on the back protecting
This
the daughter from
is
falling off.
futuristic technology.
That's right. But let's just like
Fireworks
They
everywhere.
actually had him in the scenes above the rocks and the mountains and flying,
Yes.
because they suspended him from a crane and flew him around.
Right.
That was pretty groundbreaking technology back then, and that was a pretty good stunt double because it wasn't as safe as it is nowadays as far as
So-
stuntmen back then.
So they abandon her turtle. They figure out that there was
They keep
lost,
the monkey.
lost civilization on this planet because of the ruins, and they have to cross the ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Now here, they're in a storm. The guy goes out of the ship, gets swept off, and they think that he's gone forever.
And they're okay with that.
In this glass vehicle, they can't see him holding on to the side.
Yeah.
I was taken aback by how quickly they were like, well, he's gone.
Especially the young girl who's supposed to be in love with him
Right,
all
yeah.
this time.
Like, oh, done.
Oh, well, yeah.
So there was that. Anyway, but he makes it back into the ship. They fix whatever's wrong. The storm ends. They make it to shore, and they think that they're in the clear now, but there's alien species in the back, humanoid alien species in the back, and they're just sort of nodding their heads as they're looking.
Yeah, like the big head, typical alien.
Right.
But
so
don't forget the lightning storm that they had to jump into the cave because of the lightning storm.
Yes.
Lightning.
that's right. And there was
everywhere.
drawings in the caves and booby traps everywhere.
Yeah.
So this was the pilot. This is the show that they brought to the studio and said, hey, do you want to make Lost in Space? And they said, yeah, we want to make Lost in Space. And so they made episode 1, which is obviously going to follow exactly the same lines as the pilot, right?
Not so much.
Why? What was different about it?
Well, for one thing, the first one we watched could have been 3 episodes. So the studio said, this is a series, right? And we have to stretch that out a little more. And also, you need a bad guy. You can't just have a random bad guy every place you go.
No, you don't need a bad guy.
So
you need a bad guy with a bad guy face.
That's right.
And that guy has a bad guy face.
And he's if you ever watch Get Smart, yeah, ooh, that's a bad guy. If I've ever seen a bad guy, that's a bad guy.
yeah. Oh yeah.
This guy was too bad guy to be a bad guy.
But he was one of the first original evil guys.
Right. Yeah.
Like
he had an agenda,
he
man.
portrayed that. He was that sneaky scientist,
It's just a little rat, little weasel rat.
weasel, and you already, and right from the beginning, you know he's a bad guy. So an entire series goes by, and you know he's the bad guy all through. But the family doesn't. Family doesn't find out for a few seasons.
Well, here's the thing. Again, I'm just like you, where I've never really been into Lost in Space. I never really watched it. Didn't really, like I knew of it, and that was the extent of my knowledge
I
of
bet
Lost
you know
in Space.
of the robot.
Knew the robot. Knew the kid and robot
Danger,
relationship.
Will Robinson.
Yeah.
Danger.
I knew that.
That's classic.
But as soon as they showed the villain's face,
You knew who he's the.
I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Yeah. The
Dr.
other-
Smith, was it?
Yeah, Dr. Smith. So everyone else blends in. You knew, as far as the series is concerned, it's him and the robot.
Yeah. And even I didn't even recognize the robot. I was like, well, that was 1997 would have better robots than that. But when I saw his face, that was like, okay, I know
Yeah.
that character.
And they built the story now around how him getting caught on. They had to explain why he was there.
Right. So in the unaired episode, no robot,
No.
no bad guy that went with them,
And 3 storylines.
and
Just basically surviving the planet.
right,
Yeah.
and the cryogenically frozen time was down to I think 5 years
Yeah.
instead of 95.
And not only that, in the first show, they abandoned the spaceship.
yeah,
in the
yeah,
first
exactly.
episode.
So
So
there
Lost-
is no Lost in Space. It's Lost on Random Planet.
It's Planet in Space. So
Right.
now it's Lost in Space.
So they go off their same tinfoil storm that they had to dodge. They were
But-
all brought out of cryogenics.
But the difference is what they added into this first episode is that the world is competing now. The world is competing in their evacuation of Earth because of overpopulation, and
Right.
that's why this bad guy is
Is
sabotaging,
Trying to sabotage them. That's right.
sabotaging on behalf of the Russians, probably.
Yeah. So I'm glad that they worked a reason for him to be there. Worked a reason for him to
Well,
be the evil guy.
Not only that, now if they show up and they have humans from Earth, they could be rival
That's right.
countries in the series, right? So they were building plot lines by changing the story. And if you think about it, they made it more intriguing by having the bad guy.
And the cliffhanger.
Oh,
Cliffhanger that it left off on.
Well, the whole episode, before we get to the cliffhanger, the whole episode was the bad guy accidentally gets trapped on the ship as
Right.
it takes off, and now he's stuck on a ship that he has sabotaged to explode, so he has to unfreeze the crew and try to make like he's just a random innocent passenger that got stuck, and he's not doing a very good job.
No.
well, it is the 50s. However, then you get into that big finale where the father's out in that beautiful special effect. And they show how much of a jerk this guy is, but he declines to go out and
Yeah.
save him, and he
So-
sends the wife out.
Well, okay, so the father goes out on a spacewalk to fix
Yeah.
the ship, and the rope breaks.
Yeah. And
I'm
then-
going to say this though. For the time, I thought the anti-gravity walk, the spacewalk, was well done.
I didn't mind it, but here's the funny part.
It took forever.
When the wife goes out and she has that little gun to shoot the line, and you see him floating like this,
And,
and
you
then
just-
she goes, pew, and you see the line, and he's gone. He's not in the screen anymore. And the line goes
Yeah.
in a big straight line, like a solid steel bar, and he's not there. Then he closes up on him, and you see his hand. Like this, but he's nowhere near in the scene. That was badly done. Like
That was just bad editing.
I said, well, that's bad timing. You shot it when he's not there.
Yeah.
Well, no, she was getting ready to shoot it, and for some reason, space took him out of the picture. Like, really fast.
It's like, all right, you stay. And it was just, I laughed at that, and then that's the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
We don't know if this hand was able to reach the rope or not.
Right.
Because if it doesn't reach the rope, the series is over.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the series continued for a little bit longer than that.
So he lived. He
Did.
lived. He lived, folks.
Now it wasn't. Now you got like it wasn't my favorite show. I remember watching quite a few shows like that when I was a kid, but I was not one of those people who would Lost in Space is on. I gotta watch it.
Right.
You know, Get Smart. I would watch Get Smart, Hogan's Heroes, and Gilligan's Island. But that one was like it just. It was
Did
even.
they-
It was even old for me.
Did they go color in the down the road?
I don't remember it ever being in color. The original one.
On YouTube, there's a colorized version.
Yeah.
But they could have done that way after the fact.
Technicolor or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've seen Unaired. We've seen episode 1, and they've recently made a Netflix reboot of the series. What did you think of that?
So there are 2 seasons out, and one that's upcoming that's going to be the final season.
Yeah.
I started watching this. I said, wow, I just watched an hour for one, an hour for the other, and now I'm going to start an hour for this next Netflix one. It better be good. And I started watching, and it was good.
It was good.
Yeah, it starts off, it's very...
Like that. Now that is a robot. Right?
Well, wait, that comes later. That comes later.
Yeah.
So they're in a ship, and they're playing cards. And you're kind of getting some kind of weird relationship dynamic. You're trying to figure it out. And they're playing cards, and the anti-gravity is really great.
Yeah.
The special effects were wonderful. The tension was wonderful. And they do a good job of progressing the plot and not telling you what's happening, and then revealing it later.
Right.
So you know that they're crashing. You don't know why they're crashing, and then later on they show you why, and it just opens up all new story possibilities. They tell you a little bit about relationships, and then they do flashbacks to give you a little bit more information.
And not everybody that you see is who you think they are.
In which case?
In the Dr. Smith case, I'm not sure if episode 1, because I saw
That's
all
right
of
at
the
the very
episodes, right? So yeah.
And so this one is not. It's kind of like a combination of the unaired and the first season of the old. They land on the planet in a big crash, and suddenly their ship descends into this big sinkhole, and it freezes over. Unfortunately, before it freezes over, one of the characters is caught in the ice. Now they have to spend the next 5 hours saving her, or else she's going to be gone forever.
Right.
And they go, they do this travel to get the miracle savior thing, and the little boy is left behind. He befriends an alien being, which I presume is a robot,
That's the robot.
but it might be like a bio slash
I think
robot.
it's like I think it's sort of a bioengineered, like Borg type animal robot.
And they start off as like wary enemies, and the boy saves the alien, then the alien saves the boy, and they're friends now. And that alien is super awesome.
Well, because it's basically like that alien robot has paired with the boy, and so he's the only one that will listen. Like he like he'll only listen to the boy. He'll only respond to the boy, which is the Danger Will Robinson.
See, I didn't see any other
Relationship.
episodes, so maybe you know this from watching
Right.
a couple of seasons. But I thought, for a family suspenseful movie, it was pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
I,
this-
I didn't mind it at all.
This is very accessible for families to watch together.
Yeah, it was very easy for me to binge watch it. I was excited when season 2 came out, and when season 3 comes out, I'll watch that right away as well.
The relationships in this new one, like I know it looks like the mother and father are on like a second marriage, and 2 kids belong to the dad, and maybe 1 kid belongs to the mom, and there are some conflict relationships. That's what I'm getting. I'm not sure if that's how it is because they haven't explained it yet, but those are the dynamics that are revealed after a
First
little bit.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay. All in all, what do you think of Lost in Space?
Well, I guess the originals, the 2 black and white ones, were very different. They had their pros and cons, but for that time, it might have been really, really good. I understand it. It didn't draw me in because I'm from a different era.
Right.
But this Netflix one, I don't know if the season is actually good, but this first episode I thought was really good.
I can assure you that the season is worth a watch.
I think the big reveal about the robot and the reason they crashed was intriguing.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's too big of a spoiler, but
No, but you'll understand more of that in season 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They delve into that in season 2.
I wouldn't mind continuing to watch this,
Yeah, and I encourage you to do that.
but you have a different opinion.
I've been sitting here very quietly, listening to your speeches, and first ones for their time were actually pretty good. They incorporated special effects with the jetpack. They actually incorporated a story, introduced an evil person, and it was still family friendly for the time. No complaints. For now, would I watch them all now? Probably not. I would watch The Honeymooners again, and that's black and white, but I probably wouldn't watch this again, because comedy's different. You can watch comedy in black and white, you can't watch...
And it's impossible to watch that robot and say, "Oh, this is future technology."
Especially when we're 19 years past.
When you watch the arm going to do something that's like this.
Destroy!
But come on, the giant.
I love how the robot announces everything its entire plan before it does it.
You know, it's the... Yes, what is it?
Destroy everything! It is 8 hours after...
It's reading its program. That's what it's doing.
But the new Netflix.
Now the new Netflix, I was looking forward to it when it came out, and I did start watching it, and I remember the girl being stuck in the ice down below, and I remember a couple things, but I kind of got bored, and I stopped watching it. I don't remember why I stopped watching it.
In the first episode or episodes in?
I got about 3 episodes in, and then I stopped watching it from then on, because I just kind of got a little bit bored with it. It wasn't for me. There wasn't anything particularly wrong with it. It wasn't bad acted or anything like that. It just Lost in Space for me wasn't like even the movie that came out with, you know, Friends. Joey from Friends was in it. I didn't like the movie. It's just not my series. A family Lost in Space is not my series.
Maybe I'll feel the same way, because I don't know. I just watched the first episode, but I thought it was a good first episode.
Yeah, I think it was well done.
Like the previews for it had me excited a little bit for it, but I lost interest. I don't remember. Maybe something else came up that was better at the time, and I never just got back to it.
Well, we're in quarantine. You have a second chance.
Man, that's highly possible. Well, that's our review. What do you think? Did you see the movie Lost in Space on the remake? Did you like it? Are you watching the Netflix? Are you excited for season 3? Are you angry that it's going to be the last one because they said officially it's canceled after season 3? Or are you like me? You watched a few episodes and kind of lost interest. And as far as the originals are concerned, No complaints. Back then, it was probably really groundbreaking.
Right. If you have an opportunity to travel back to 1950 and rewatch it, then it's fantastic.
There you go. And don't forget, you can let them know what the future is really like
In
1997 or 2001. Well, there you go. Let us know what you guys think down below. Are you watching Netflix? Did you see the originals? Did you watch the movie? Is Lost in Space one of your favorites, or you don't even really remember it too much? Let us know in the comments down below, and maybe hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and check out some more of our content down below. And until next time, we'll see you on the channel.